30 years ago, the state of Ohio fell victim to its biggest financial crime ever. The mastermind behind this audacious scam was none other than Billy Joe Brooks, a seemingly ordinary man who would go on to become the most notorious white-collar criminal in the state's history. This is the story of how Brooks orchestrated a multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme that left thousands of Ohioans penniless and heartbroken. In the late 1980s, Billy Joe Brooks was a well-respected businessman in Columbus, Ohio. He owned several successful car dealerships and had a reputation for being a shrewd entrepreneur. However, beneath this facade of success, Brooks was living a lie. Unbeknownst to his friends, family, and business associates, he was also running a massive Ponzi scheme that would eventually swindle millions of dollars from unsuspecting investors. The scale of Brooks's fraud was breathtaking. Over the course of several years, he managed to convince thousands of people to invest in his fake businesses, promising them astronomical returns on their investments. In total, he bilked his victims out of more than $150 million, a staggering sum that would be equivalent to over $300 million today. The impact of Brooks's crimes was felt across the state of Ohio. Hardworking men and women saw their life savings disappear overnight, leaving many of them destitute and struggling to make ends meet. The ripple effects of his scheme were far-reaching, affecting not just individual investors, but also local businesses and communities that relied on their patronage. As the truth about Brooks's Ponzi scheme began to emerge, it became clear that this was no ordinary case of financial fraud. This was a crime that struck at the very heart of Ohio's economic fabric, exposing the vulnerabilities and weaknesses in our financial system. It was a wake-up call for regulators, lawmakers, and investors alike. One that would change the way we think about money, investments, and trust forever. In this documentary, we will explore the story of Billy Joe Brooks and the biggest financial crime in Ohio history. We will delve into the details of his Ponzi scheme, examine the impact it had on the state's economy, and explore the lessons that can be learned from this tragic tale of greed and deception. So join us as we follow the money trail and uncover the truth behind one of the most shocking financial crimes in American history. And so we begin our investigation into the biggest financial crime in Ohio history, the intricate Ponzi scheme orchestrated by Billy Joe Brooks. Over the course of several years, Brooks managed to swindle millions of dollars from unsuspecting investors, all while promising them exorbitant returns on their investments. The story begins in 2007 when Brooks, a former insurance agent with a questionable past, established his investment firm Financial Advisors Mortgage, or FAM. Posing as a successful and experienced financial advisor, he began soliciting investors with promises of high-yield returns through the purchase and resale of distressed properties. Little did these investors know that their hard-earned money was being funneled into a complex web of lies and deception. As funds from new investors poured in, Brooks used this money to pay off earlier investors, all while siphoning millions for his personal use. He led a lavish lifestyle, complete with luxury cars, expensive homes, and even a private jet. Meanwhile, his victims were left believing that their investments were generating substantial returns. By 2015, the facade began to crumble when several investors voiced concerns about the lack of return on their investments. State authorities launched an investigation into FAM and Brooks's activities, ultimately uncovering a Ponzi scheme that had defrauded over 1,000 investors out of more than $65 million. The impact of Brooks's crimes was far-reaching and devastating, leaving many families and retirees in financial ruin. The state's economy also suffered as millions of dollars were pulled from local businesses and communities. In the following sections, we will delve deeper into the details of this